So much to get to today. Got a lot to cover. I'm going to fire up the Instagram for a quick second, but we got a lot to cover really quickly. I'm not going to go long. I can record out a few minutes here. Alright. So we're not going to go too long, but I wanted to touch on a few points. I had some funny stuff, and I got a lot of questions through. I posted, ask me a question on my thing, so I got a few of those, but I'm not going to go too long, and I'm kind of coming up to the back end of my stretch of 2 weeks of doing this, so there's a little bit of a strategy involved in case you haven't noticed. What's up, guys? So it's been unbearably cold. Hopefully everybody has notifications on. I'm going to try my best to push a lot of you to YouTube. I'm going to give something away today. It's going to be a good prize when I push you to YouTube. But I have a couple really good points. So for whatever reason, and I want to jump right into this. For whatever reason, what's up, Danny? My weight is like a major issue with people. Like how much I weigh. I get the craziest messages. Like people ask me like, it's a little creepy, and I definitely want to get some of you guys' thoughts. People ask me like when I'm cutting, and I'm not like competing, and they'll ask like, like one guy's like, you definitely look bigger, and I'm 30 pounds lighter than I've ever been, ever. It's crazy to me. I mean, I don't know. I guess I struggle at times. There's certain things I have to accept that people obsess with me or like obsess over certain things. And I don't understand it. I don't get I don't understand the draw, but on that. But it's kind of funny to me. Like the weight is always a big one. Like how much I weigh and like. Hey, what's up, Jonathan? Like how much I weigh, bro? It's crazy, Banyan. It's crazy. It's crazy, and the stuff they come up with and the shit that I see. But the weight thing is always like a big one. I don't understand it at all. I don't understand it, bro. I don't get it. I'm not like some young kid. Like I'm not 25, so I don't understand it, which is a whole nother topic with people I don't even know that think they know me. When you're a big bone dude, the funny thing is, in the beginning, I don't look at myself as a big guy. I'm not obnoxiously tall. When people tend to meet me, they tend to think I'm a little bit bigger, and I know. In person, they're like, whoa, I didn't realize you were that, because I'm like 5'11", just under 6, and I'm about 240 or so. It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. The amount of DMs I get, they're like, bro, you're looking, like a guy the other day even said it on the live. He was like, you look fatter than ever or something. And like, he thinks like he's going to offend me. I've been that size forever, but it's crazy, bro. It's honestly, it's just bananas to me. I don't get it, but it does blow my mind that that's some of the stuff that people obsess over. But I wanted to do, I went a little earlier today than I've been going. I wanted to kind of knock something out and get something in here and kind of punch the ticket with you guys a little bit, because I did have stuff to talk about. So I had a few things to get to. I'm waiting on one other guy's information. Trying to do it all at once, guys, and I know you can understand that. Trying to ship stuff out one day a week and not make it be like this obnoxious, I got to go to the post office 4 times a week bit. And I appreciate everybody's support. So, with that being said, I am going to give away a pair of glasses today in honor of Gargoyles giving a pair away. I'm going to give a pair away out of my own stash. Now, these are the Paces. These are nice. These are the metal ones that I wear. Yes, You have time, 85 for real. Is one of the guy that owes me, and I direct them out. I'm not worried about it. They can go in this week or next week. And I know you guys don't care. These are brand new, and I'll give you guys a glimpse of them. Thank Taurus. I want to thank Crossbreed Holsters. I want to thank Kenzies Optics. And I want to thank Riton Optics. I appreciate them. Appreciate everything they do. Appreciate their support. This is my show. We'll talk about some questions you guys have, some questions that I've been getting. And kind of the format, and I'll go over the format with you and, you know, why I'm recording so many of these and what's going on. So, future's so bright, gotta wear shades. That's right, Dima. So, to answer a few questions, few people ask me how many days a week I'm going to go. So when you record a podcast, I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks and stuff, those of you that might be thinking of getting into this and everything else. When you record a podcast, just to give you an FYI, you have to kind of come out of the gate and record a lot of content. And if you've seen me do these in the past, and this isn't my first time doing it, you have to record a bunch in the beginning. You have to get the content out there. So when you get the content out there and you create a lot of the content, it gives people that are visiting it for the first time, yeah, that's right, I wear my sunglasses tonight, time to kind of go through and watch a bunch of episodes. So you need 10, 20, they recommend about 30 to 40 hours at least in the beginning, you know, to get it all up there. So I try to get the content up there. The second step is format and structure. So I'll probably go, you know, 1 to 2 days a week, and there will be guests. There will definitely be guests. There will be guests not only through Instagram, but there'll be guests through social media and just in person. So we will have guests, but this is going to be a little different. I'm going to take a lot of your questions too, and I'm trying to take your questions on multiple different platforms and go live with you guys and answer everything as best I can. We are going to give away up. The more you get in there and comment and tag, the more you help. So I appreciate everybody who heads over to the YouTube. It's invaluable, and I thank you. So please take a minute to head over there if you haven't, and that's probably where we'll give the glasses away from today. I'll probably pick somebody from YouTube. So, with that being said, I brought up an interesting point that I found interesting in terms of people asking, what's up, VitaDrip? People asking questions. People were asking me questions about, you know, I posted that, asked me a question, and I noticed, like, I get awkward DMs, mostly from men, which is crazy. And it's always about my weight. No, not from you. It's always about my weight, how much I weigh, or they even comment in here. You know, it's usually about the weight. And I find that so interesting. You know, that what people obsess over or what people think on or what, you know, kind of the first thing that comes to mind. And they're always kind of thinking about my weight. And I can't really figure out why, and I haven't figured out why. So I guess it's a thing, and I guess I have to accept that it's a thing. So it's a deal, whatever. But I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody who, you know, especially not just the sponsors of the podcast, but everybody who shares and everybody who participates in leaving the reviews on iTunes, who's downloaded it on iTunes, and the people who listen. It's really important, and it matters. I want to thank everybody who supported me. And for the record, I want to close the door on the weight thing. I am the lightest I've been in probably close to the lightest I've been in all the years that I've been on any media. But I'm not a spring chicken anymore, so I don't worry about that much. Next, an interesting thing was brought up to me. You know, somebody asked me. I always get asked like my favorite concealed carry and everything. Somebody asked me what the first gun I owned was, or what's the first gun I owned. I believe it was actually either an HK handgun or a Smith & Wesson. I'm not 100% sure. The first gun I shot was a shotgun. That much I do know. I do remember. That was way back, I believe, if I recall. So that was another thing. And lately, there's been a lot of questions about what you know. It's weird. The follower base. I don't remember, Dima. I don't recall the first one I bought. I know it was a handgun, and I just can't remember if it was a Smith & Wesson or an HK. You got to remember there's been a lot of guns in between, probably about 100 in between. So I'm drawing a blank. And I didn't own one for long. I owned like 5. And going back to college, I probably had even 3 then. So, but I probably shouldn't say, I don't, now that I've been doing the jiu-jitsu and everything else, I don't carry a lot, as much as I should. I keep a gun in the car, but I don't carry as much as I should. And there's not a lot of rhyme and reason to that, other than right now, I'm in sweats a lot, and I'm I just kind of throw it in a bag. So there's that, but there's that. So, and I've just been traveling a ton. So it's no excuse, and I shouldn't make it an excuse, but that's just kind of where it's at. I do want to let everybody know, that's a good one, XD9. I do want to let everybody know, and ask questions, guys, as you have them. I know I'm going a little bit earlier. I want to let everybody know that there's a lot of people that wonder the format. My first Smith & Wesson Shield 9mm been on my hip ever since. Yeah, it's a good gun. It's a good gun. The Shield's a good gun. It's nice and flat. I mean, it's a get off me gun. It's up close. It's not something I would take a long shot with. I think I did hit a Coke can once with one about probably about 40 yards out, fucking around one day. It was all I had. But I'm not that good of a shot with some of those little guns like revolvers and things like that. But I'm by no means a trick shot expert by any stretch of the imagination. So I do want to, thank you guys and encourage you guys to keep sharing the YouTubes and keep watching the YouTubes. If you get an opportunity, I'm getting really close. So the rhyme and reason to a lot of this YouTube stuff is to create a channel that kind of starts to feed itself, and you have to do that by getting a certain amount of time in, and there's a whole formula, and you can monetize it and all that. So I'm getting pretty close. So to all you guys, if you take a minute and you can watch or listen to some of the video, watch some of the YouTube, or play some of the YouTube, it's helpful. The more you share it, the more people click on it, the more people watch it for a period of time to get watch time. So please, continue to take time to help me build that out. So if you get a chance, head over to the YouTube and share. And when you head over to the YouTube and share, and I'm going to give away these glasses. So if you have a computer at home and you head over and you share and you comment done on my last post, or you come back in here after you leave a comment and tag, leave it underneath one of the posts, I'm going to give away these sunglasses from Gargoyles, kindly enough. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to get through some of these last hurdles with YouTube. But anyway, it's easy enough. It's not that exciting. So people kind of ask me some of these questions, whether it's about the handguns or the off-body or the carry. I just like how monetization changed YouTube. I had it on my old channel, but no longer I am eligible for it. Bah, humbug. I've been eligible for it on a couple of channels. This is the first time I'm going for it on this channel. Part of the reason why I'm exploring is I've heard it's changed. I've heard it's gotten better, the way that it's structured, but that's just me. This is my first time going for it on this channel. It's not hard to do. People think, oh, it's hard. It's not, you should know it's not hard to do. They even say like you could do a 10-hour video. There's people that make these suggestions, like make a 10-hour video and have people just play it in the background, have like 20 of your friends play it in the background, and then you'll reach the goal like pretty quickly, because it's only, what is it, 4,000 hours? It's like 4,000 hours and you can monetize, and you need 1,000 subscribers. The subscribers kind of take care of itself, because you get people that subscribe once you consistently record videos. Like mine slowly creeps up, but I've never attempted to do it on this channel. This is the first time I'm kind of making a run at it. Yeah, it's all bullshit. It's seriously, it's all bullshit. You just gotta kind of game the system, That's kind of all it is. But there's deep conversations I'm having. There's a rhyme and a reason to everything I do, and it's not always what you see, and that's what people sometimes don't understand. So there's a rhyme and a reason to me kind of developing this and taking this path. But I also had an abundance of work and questions and things I could do, you know, with you guys and with the companies and just exploring things. So one other thing I did notice, you know, now that we're kind of post Super Bowl and we're kind of all digesting on some information, is it's amazing to me how much, you know, people just don't have anything good to say. I mean, not only just as it pertains to like the Patriots and winning the Super Bowl and the whole Tom Brady thing, just in general, you see people, I mean, the amount of negative feedback even I see, I mean, you know, it's sad. It's kind of, and I talked about this last night, like the obsession with social media and people almost like it's an illness, you know. I don't know what to say, really. I'm blown away by some of the stuff I see and some of the baloney. I don't know if you know, I don't know if oh, you agree, if Cassie comes in here, but you'll know what I mean. It just blows my mind. It just blows my mind, the amount of negative bullshit people put out there. And I think you have to really, like I said, this year is just, you have to cut that out. You have to cut that out. I've said it over and over in here. I can only speak to my situation. I have people I don't even know. I don't even know them. I've never met them. I've never had a conversation with them. I don't even know them. And they, whether it's coming in live or talk about me, and I don't know them. I can tell you this. There's one person out there I've never met him. I've had one conversation with him. But I already talks about me like I'm his best friend. I've never met him. I do. I sparkle when I sweat. I do. But I mean, that's what I was talking about yesterday. It's almost scary. It's almost psychotic. It's almost psychotic. And it's sad. Yeah, it is, Dima. It's 100% the year I just blocked them. You have to. You just have to do it. You can't have those people in your life. And this isn't a motivational Tony Robbins bullshit speech. This is just, you have to cut that crap out. You just can't have it. Yeah, I mean, I could see how you deal with a cape being in a wheelchair, but you know, it's almost one of those things that, you know, when you're referring to more like judgment, you know, it's just, it's weird. The internet's a weird place. It's, what I'm saying is, it's almost an illness because people talk and act like they do know you. You know what I mean? But I think they're basing that on what they see on the internet. So that's what makes it scary. That's my point. That's what makes it almost like an illness. You almost want to be like, you know, I've never met you. I've had one conversation with you. That's what makes it scary. You'd almost rather it be like one of those judgy situations, because then you can write it off a little bit. Like you almost think you're dealing with a sick person, with someone who's not well, and someone who needs help, and that's what's a little troubling. So it becomes scary. It becomes really scary. Let me see who's on YouTube, because I'm gonna I want to get to the point where I'm kind of giving these away, but I do hope people understand that there's some of that out there, and it's a little frickin' spooky. I know it's freaked me out. It's definitely freaked me out. You know, I don't know. It's been bananas. So let's see. All right, I am live now in YouTube. So head over to YouTube if you haven't already. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how I'm going to give away these glasses. Here's how we're going to do this. If you head over to YouTube and share a YouTube video on your Facebook, tag me in it. And that's how I'm going to pick a winner. I'm writing it out. I'm going to randomly pick the winner. That's how I'm going to do that. I'll randomly pick them. But I wanted to kind of address that little bit of creepiness that I deal with in some of the creepy questions. Now, some of the good questions I get, I get a lot of good ones. People ask a lot of good ones. I think you can do it. You can copy it. Copy the link. Sponsored by who? First of all, I hate the word sponsorship. There's no such thing as sponsorship. Sponsorship is a fucking made up word. When people say I'm sponsored, what does that mean? What does that mean? Sponsored. God, I hear people throw that around. I'm sponsored. I'm a sponsored athlete. I'm sponsored. There's no such thing as sponsored. Sponsored's like for AA, like Alcoholics Anonymous. You don't ever want to be sponsored. I work as a consultant with a lot of different brands. I work with a lot of different brands and a lot of different capacities for them. So I do a lot of different things. But, I don't ever like to say sponsored because it's like, it's the most overused term in firearms. Like, people get a free muzzle break and they're like, I'm sponsored. It's a little ridiculous. So, as far as the companies, they're kind enough to donate some product to give away, and I'm not doing these giveaways all the time. People get mad that I do these giveaways. I mean, there's people out there that get mad. They're like mad that I do giveaways. How dare he? How dare he give something away? It's crazy. They think like I'm taking something away from them. It's bananas. I'm convinced at this point I've seen and heard it all. There's nothing. There's no more mountains or hurdles to go over. But I wish people well. So I'm gonna wait for some of these shares to come through before I give them away. And the next question I got, so I'm going through these questions, is somebody asked me my favorite, I believe they're trying to ask my favorite concealed carry. And I think they're trying to say holster. Yes, that's what it sounds like. So as far as holsters go, and I talked about this the other day, as far as like concealed carry goes or concealed carry in a holster, that's a preference thing. That's a mission specific thing. What's up, Bat Defense? That's a mission specific thing. So, to you guys on YouTube right now and everybody else on Twitch and everybody everywhere, that's kind of like something that's more specific, situation specific. If you don't like an inside the waistband or appendix carry and you sit down and you feel like the thing's digging in your stomach, you have to look at a different holster. Some guys are 3 o'clock guys. It depends on what you're carrying. It depends on how you carry it. It depends on the way that you carry it. There's a million factors on what you choose and the equipment you choose. So I said this yesterday, and that's where I think this question's coming from, because I get a few questions sometimes that are like, after the fact. It depends on the situation. Depends on the situation. And somebody asked me, John, what do you think about all these, I think he's saying super Cerakoted guns or Cerakoted guns. I think you're referring to kind of like the fancy, smancy Cerakote jobs. I like them. I mean, that's your prerogative. I think my biggest thing with a lot of that stuff is, are you running the gun, or are you just, you just getting it Cerakoted? Is it a trophy piece? Are you a collector? I guess for me, I'd like to see guys kind of run the gun a little bit, use the gun. I think that's more my thing. And you making this stuff just to make cool looking guns, and then stuff them in a safe and they sit there, because that's a pain in the ass. But whatever. I mean, everybody has their own prerogative. Everyone has their own jam. What's up, Cassie? Everybody has their own jam, and that's kind of where that comes from. Here's another one. John, where are you going to next? This is a common one. This comes up quite a bit. I think people are referring to where I'm going to go, whether it's work or the next company I'm going to work closely with. I have a couple options. A few people have asked me this. I have a few options right now that I'm looking at, that I'm considering. All of them really good, really great. I'm excited about a lot of them. What I'll do with them and where I'll go from there, I don't know. There's some that are very intriguing. Giving it a little time. I'm digesting SHOT Show right now. I'm digesting being sick from SHOT Show, and I'm kind of getting my legs underneath me in terms of figuring out what those next steps will be. I think you'll see between SHOT Show and NRA a lot of shifting around. You tend to see that in the business. That's common. It's very common. Very common. I think you'll just continue to see some shifting around. Where I'll end up will be a situation that's the right one. That's going to make the most sense. So, I'm really not worried too much about it. I think it'll all work out. All right, what is this next one? John, how do you choose who to promote? Who to promote is what it's asking. So I think what you mean is, how do I choose what companies I'm gonna work with? Or I guess two separate questions. As far as what companies I choose to, whether it's sponsor the podcast or work with. This is a common question. I think everybody asks at one point running one of these. Sure, Cassie. One door opens, one door closes, another one will open for sure. Yeah, it just takes time. You have to have a mindset. I think I accomplished a lot of things I wanted to accomplish, and I think these opportunities are the right ones. Believe me, and I'll get into that more as it fleshes out. As far as how I choose the situations, I guess this is two questions: how I choose companies that pick up the podcast, and how I choose companies that I work with. So it's twofold. Every company I work with, I try to provide them research and real data. I try to do research into spaces where they're weak. I try to do research into spaces where I feel they need the work, and I try to give them deliverables. I'm not here, for any other reason than to do work on behalf of you guys, to develop material, to develop these companies, and to give them some understanding. Some people I think do what they do, try to get crazy. They're conspiracy theorists. They do this, they do that. I don't know. I can't speak to the motives of other people. They're not my motives. I do what I do because I feel like it's to create and to develop. And that's really what I'm after, is the creation and development of media, and the creation and development of different resources for people within brands, and understand how the brands tick and what can get them from A to B to C to D, and what the steps they have to take to do there. And any company, I truly believe to this day, any company that I go to, I leave them better than I find them. Oh, I absolutely believe that. I think that there's a lot of work to be done out there, especially in the firearms business. We're just so bad at media across the board. There's not a lot of companies that get it right. And that's not their fault. It's more the fault that there's just not a lot of avenues we have, where everything's guerrilla. And it's the last place people always want to spend money, especially in this business. So, we'll see. I love your content. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you like the content. It means a lot when people say that. I do get good feedback from time to time, and I'm not saying I'm not. I am going to keep plowing the way, Joe. If you follow my journey, and Cassie has, I always have plowed forward. I deal with more than my share of nonsense, and especially as it pertains to social media. Not so much in the business side of the business. It's more social media driven, and I think that a lot of that stems from a lot of jealousy and a lot of judgment and a lot of that on social media you have to be really careful. You be careful because on social media, people always want to kind of, I don't know if it's like tear you down is the right word, and I've used this before, but I think they just want to have like this like judgy approach to people on social media. Oh, your makeup doesn't look perfect, your ass doesn't look right, this doesn't look right, that doesn't look right. So you have to be careful. It's whatever. Yeah, I think to a lot of people, Cassie, but to, we've all talked about this. I think people go too far. I think people go too far. I really do. And I think that's sad. That's almost, it's really troubling. It's, like I said, it's troubling to see. It's borderline scary in some ways that people believe in a mission to, whether it's put people down, whether it's meme. I read an article the other day. Let me see if I can find it. I might be able to just pull it up. It came across my deal here. Anyway, you can look it up. I'll find it. I just don't want to waste time looking. This young kid had a disability, and I believe it stemmed from like dwarfism. So he had a disability, and he had a social media page. And people, without knowing he had a disability, put him down so much that this kid was contemplating suicide. And I'm going to find the article. And I think it goes beyond online bullying. I think what it comes down to is people really just get kind of out of control. And like I was saying earlier, the legitimate scary thing is they believe what they're saying. They believe it. It's crazy. It's troubling. I know for my sake, I have one person on the internet. I can't have any communication with him. I've had one conversation with him my entire life, and he thinks he knows me. I can't have any I can't. There's people I can't have communication with them. And I know like Joe Rogan goes through this with Alex Jones. He goes through this with Alex Jones. He talks about it all the time. He can't have communication with Alex Jones. But there's some people out there that they're not okay. And Cassie, we've talked about this, and it is what it is. But I think it just gets out of control. It's beyond toxic. It's beyond toxic, Cassie. I've come to the conclusion that it's a legitimate illness. It's beyond toxic. It's like legitimate. People like Joe Rogan talked about this the other day. He was talking about Alex Jones, and he goes, I think he's really sick. And when people start behaving that way, I think there's a lot of truth to it. When they start believing like the crazy that comes out of their mouth. I think it borders on, it goes beyond, like, you know, that whole bad people, bad person, whatever the fuck you want to say, to like legitimate illness type shit. But to answer everybody's questions, I hope I answered everybody's questions that come in. I am going to end up somewhere. I am going to end up, all these things are kind of coming together, and the pieces are fitting together. So I'm not worried about it. It's self-esteem issues. People need to bring other people down to bring themselves up. It really isn't. It always is demons. I always try my best not to put people down, because always the number one thing is jealousy. The first place everybody goes is jealousy. So I kind of, you got to take a page from whether it's Brady or Belichick, and you got to always build people up. You got to always build them up. And it's the way you should be anyway. Hey, he's short, but we went, Demo, I went to high school. I went to high school with kids that they were angry. Where we grew up, people were angry. They were so angry. Everybody was angry. They were angry about everything, and everybody had to be that angry, tough guy. You know that. That's where we went. So everybody was angry. Now, I don't, and we grew up in a tough neighborhood. It wasn't an easy neighborhood. It was a tough neighborhood. But I then very quickly, I never understood that. I never understood that. It never made sense to me. Because it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere. So I think at first it's always a bit of jealousy. Maybe you make it look easier than everybody else. Maybe you were this, maybe you were that. I mean, but, I know where we went to school, you had to be a decent athlete. You had to be, we weren't like the mecca for sports by any stretch, but you had to be a decent athlete. There was a little pressure there. So you'd have that going on. A little bit of pressure. You had to have, we were good about a lot of things, but it kind of is what it is, Yeah, I mean, I like to think, at least at our high school, Deemer, at the time, I like to think that I would say we all, out of every 100 kids, I would say 80% were dealt with pretty fairly. There was probably 20% or so that didn't fall into that cool kid category, that got treated a little, probably unfairly looking back, But I know when I was in high school, I can only speak for myself. I can't, I wasn't in the, I'm getting old now, Deem. I can't remember everybody. But I know for me, I was pretty fair with everyone. I was pretty easygoing. Ball breaking and bullying. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of, I guess you'd use the term ball breaking, I guess, is the term. And Dago, you're from a similar area, so you get it. I would say ball breaking would be a good term, but I mean, for the most part, I would think people aren't completely out of line, but I would say by and large, it's jealousy that drives a lot of that. That's why I never, Dima, you're a little younger than me, but I never try to put people down that way when I was in high school. I was always kind of self-aware of that a little bit, that when you do that, it makes you look bad, you look worse. But I guess that just people don't give a fuck. They don't care if that's how they're viewed or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to treat people fair, and I think, you can't have that, you can't have too much of that scumbag sense of entitlement, but I think today it's bad today. I think everybody's like cutting everybody's throat any way they can, doing this, doing that, and whatever. But they'll cut people up to make themselves feel good, I get people. I deal with it all the time. And it is what it is. It is what it is. My girlfriend laughs at it. She finds it funny. K. Marshall says, I told them all stress that fun. I don't know. Trying to. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. Social media has aided in that mentality. Well, we talked about this, Joe. Social media, part of the problem with social media, and part of the real issue with social media is people get to hide behind the computer. That's the big issue with social media. People get to hide behind the computer. So, that's the big thing. There's no consequences. And to Cassie's point, there's no empathy. So what happens is you usually, one person or two people go out and they create 10 fake accounts. They create 10 fake accounts and they bash. Or they bash people. I just block. I don't even see it anymore. I just block. But, and the problem is, Dago, that those are the same people that if you say that to them, this is the problem. If you say that to them, they'll cry lawyer. They'll cry that they want to get a restraining order. I know because I've been Dago, I've been through it. I've seen it. I've watched it happen. The same people that create the accounts, that create the memes, that do this, they're the same people that will go and do that. And it's ironic. Dago, you can't. You're in a public figure space. Trust me, Carl. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's amazing, but they're the same people that'll do that. It's like you ever see Rocky V when he's like, "Touch me and I'll sue. Touch me and I'll sue. Touch me and I'll sue." Oh my God! In real life, trust me. In real life, that's how some people are. Trust me. It's pretty funny, actually. It's pretty funny. But it kind of is what it is. It kind of is what it is. You got to just roll with it, right? You got to just roll with it. So I just roll with it. Kind of is what it is. But Cassie, it's the truth. It's not no heart, Caldy. You know what it is? They want to stack the deck as best they can against them. So they will block you. They will not allow you to have your opinion. They want to control the message. They want to control the environment. And they don't want any detractors. So they're speaking to a very small funnel. So they speak to a very small funnel that only endorses their own belief system. So when they speak to that small funnel that endorses their belief system, that's what they roll with. So they stay in a very, very safe space. Even though they like to appear to be reckless and crazy, they stay in a safe space. I mean, they're really in actuality the ultimate liberals in many ways, which I find kind of comical. It's the duality of the situation. But it's true. So you have to be careful of the haters and you have to block that shit out. You have to block that shit out and you can't put it around you. And you can't, oh, the nut guy. I remember that guy. That guy was crazy. He was in a fight with me. Called that. We should tell that story. I forgot about that guy. That was a guy we were giving away. I remember we were giving away like one of those brass knuckles here at the time when those were hot. And they weren't brass; they were like plastic. I remember we were giving away one companies, and this one guy was like, "That's not a legit company. I'm the most legit company." Blah 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 blah. Rawr. And I was like, okay, I don't want any trouble. I remember messaging the guy, and I'm like, hey man, I'm like, if you wanna get in on one of these, like, I got no problems with you. Like, you can get in on one. And the dude was lit. Like, he was straight up mad that I didn't support a roll you over palm or knuck. Yeah, like, he was legit mad that I didn't. Yeah, this was a funny story. So I got to explain it, because it's like a brass, not brass, it's a plastic knuck. It's like this, and like you put it on your finger, and like you can punch people with it, but nobody actually uses them. They're like a fun gimmick, because no one. I have one somewhere. Nobody in their right mind uses it. So I gave one away in a live. So I gave one of these away in a live and in a where the fuck? Caldy, was I doing that on Instagram? Was that Instagram back then? I think it was Instagram. So I give one of these things away, because I don't even know if Instagram Live was a thing then. And the guy like harassed me on DM for the longest time after. He was like, that wasn't a legit knuck. I have the most legit knucks. Like, fuck you. And the guy was from where I grew up. That was a crazy thing. And I had never met him. And this is how psychotic people get. I remember he had like reached out to like Lou at the, my old gunsmith. He reached out to like friends. And then finally he made, there's only 2 people that have ever made really negative comments on my Facebook. And he was one of them. John Napolitano did once, but we're friends now. We're cool. So, we actually saw John at SHOT Show. He's a good guy. He's okay. We all get hot once in a while, and I'm like, dude, like, my mother's on my Facebook. Like, I'm like, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, family and friends are on Facebook. Like, stop it. Like, on regular Facebook. Like, stop. And it was crazy to me how hot and bothered he got over that whole thing. But that's an example of the crazy. Like, the crazy that we deal with. And it's insane to me. It's insane to me. I'm blown away at times at the level of crazy people go to. Totally blown away. But that was the level of crazy that he was prepared to go. He was going to show me how good his little plastic knucks were. So I guess, it is what it is. He blocked me because he was a shoemaker. I don't know what he was. I honestly, I've had a couple guys through the years. This batch of people takes the cake, but they're close. They might be a close second to one other guy. I had a couple guys through the years that they were they're crazy. They're sociopathic. They're sociopathic. It's a little bizarre, but nevertheless, we digress. So I'm still waiting on you and Noah to make the route. Yeah, there's been a lot of, Noah and I have done the dance on a lot of different things. We will get there. We will design it at some point. At some point we'll get there. So let me check on YouTube. I want to give these glasses away. I'm giving away a pair of Gargoyles glasses out of my personal stash. I believe we're up to recording the 10th episode. I believe. So I'm going to get to... Let's see. Dashboard here. How's BJJ coming along? So Jiu-Jitsu's got a little bit of a pause since I've been sick. There is a little bit of a bug going around. Cassie, I've been shaking this for weeks. Some days I feel better. Some days I feel crappy. I felt lousy for a couple of weeks. It's the SHOT Show flu. I feel like I'm on the back end. I'm trying to drink more water and trying to get healthy. It's just not easy. It's not easy. Feel lousy. You know. I feel cruddy, but I'm still getting. I'm gonna get some stuff in this weekend, I think. Good question. You learn to turtle into an. To turtle into an. You learn to turtle in BJJ. For sure. So, that's for sure. Trying to save this. Change thumbnail, save, and update. So if you're in here and you get a chance to head over to YouTube and share, I'm going to give away some Gargoyles glasses if you comment, and you get the opportunity to put this on there. Comment on my last post that you did it, or comment in here that you did it. I'm going to give away these glasses. I'm trying to get as much of this done as I can, as much of the stuff given away as I can in the next couple of days. The more watches and views. If you guys get the opportunity, please tap the paper airplane. If I don't get enough people that participate, I'm not going to give it away. I usually always take that approach. You know, and people say, oh, you know, that's not fair, or that's not whatever. Look, I'm not going to give, I'm not going to give something away. I have a little bit of a threshold, and I'm sorry if that offends some people. You know, I'm not going to give something away if it's 5 people that participate. Like, I'm sorry. You know, no offense. You know, I'm trying to push more people to YouTube and to those platforms anyway. So, how do it do it from my phone? If you go to your phone and go to YouTube, just go to my YouTube. Yeah, Cassie, I mean, I'm reasonable. Like, if 3 people participate in the contest, I'm sorry, I'm not giving it away. Because it's not a me thing. It's just not fair to the company donating the product either. It doesn't mean I'll not include you in the giveaway. I know who participates. And everybody in these contests, for the most part, has won at some point. My name is John. It's not Mark. No, I'm just teasing you. I know you're saying hi to Mark Rigdon. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my mental rule. You know, I mean, I have to have 5 or 8 participants. That's only what's fair. So I do have a couple other questions to get to. I left 2 more on the table that I'll get to. I'm just teasing some of the watchers. And if you have any, don't hesitate to chime in with them. I'll do my best to answer them as best I can. As best I can. So here's another one I'm going to pull up that I got asked. Share any of the last YouTube episodes onto your Facebook or onto any of your streams and tag me in it. Tag me so I know, or tag the sponsors. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm worth admiring, but I do appreciate that. The well wishes. That's very kind. Means a lot. For sure. Appreciate you. So, I know, Roland. I'm just giving you poop. I'm giving you poop, buddy. I'm just giving you poop. I'm pulling up another question. I knew what you were doing. Giving you shit. It's part of the ball breaking we talked about earlier, Dima. If you're still in here. So, here's another question. Oh, this is the one I didn't answer, so I didn't check it off. John, how do you choose the company? So, I didn't get a chance to answer this. How do I choose the companies that participate? My ADD took over. So, in choosing the companies that participate on the show, okay, on the show. It's really simple. I like to choose brands, as I said, that I'm doing. There's a research component and there's a study component. I'm trying to sort some things for them. I'm trying to get them some data. And on top of getting them some data, there's not, a lot of ties. They're companies I'm friendly with, I've worked with for years, I have a good relationship with. I noticed like somebody was bashing one of them. I'm like, why? I don't get people that bash firearms companies or people. It's just so. That's not what the industry's about. That's not what it's about. It's not what it's about. So people who go out there and they just bash other companies, you do realize out there, tough guys, that behind those companies sometimes is a small family, is somebody trying to put food on their table. A lot of these companies, they're struggling. They're just getting by. Yet there's some fucking moron that thinks it's cool to be like, yeah, you're endorsing a cheap gun now, or you're like doing this and, whatever. And they make a soggy this. So, yes, quality. It's getting them data. It's helping them. It's just helping them. The other thing is, how do I choose companies I personally work with? So it depends on the project. I work project by project. If you know companies I work with, I work by the project. So I work project by project, and depending on the brand and what they're looking to accomplish, that's how I choose. John, you have many friendships in the business. How do you keep your circle so tight? It's not tight all the time. The circle isn't always super tight. I've made mistakes. I've let people in. They shouldn't be in. That doesn't make them bad folks. It just makes it what it is. But people get into anybody's circle that maybe necessarily shouldn't be there. So as of right now, I only have 3 thumbs ups on the YouTube, so I'm probably not going to give the glasses away right now. It's going to kick me out of this live on IG, but I'm going to come back on, and we'll see where that's at. At the very least, I have to have that up a little bit. There has to be more than 3 or 4 likes. So that's really it. And I choose these companies, guys. I choose these companies based on an understanding. I have to work with companies that are willing to listen. I base my opinion and my knowledge on years of doing this, and hopefully they're willing to kind of listen to some of the opinions and some of the data that I've kind of compiled through the years, what I've put together. It's just my opinion, I'm gonna come right back. It's gonna kick me off anyway, Cassie. So I'm gonna sign off and I'm gonna come back on. It's gonna kick me off anyway. So I'll sign off, come back on, and I'll see how it's doing. Let's bring them back up. We'll see how YouTube's doing. We'll do this pretty quickly. So as everyone files back in. Yeah, I mean, typically with the contests, to kind of give everybody a little clear understanding with the contest, it's rare, but if I don't get kind of a balanced participation. RCC27, I don't know you. If I don't know you, I usually don't let people in the live. It's not for anything other than I don't know if I can control the flow of the conversation, and I can't just have you, in here kind of spouting off. It's just not fair to everybody else. I can't have somebody kind of dominate it. Frank, I hope the kid's birthday went well, but Frank, you were supposed to get in the live. We're going to have you in the live. You still want to go live, Frank? I'll give you the floor. You'll be on the podcast and everything. You'll live forever, Frank. It's up to you. So give a thumbs up on the YouTube. No, heading to dinner. I met him once, Dima. He's very tall. Yeah, he's very tall. Very tall. I've met probably everybody in this industry. My closer friends that are YouTube sensations or more Military Arms Channel. IV888. These are YouTube guys I'm friendly with. And a lot of the guys on IG, the pro shooters, Max and JJ, and of course Tony from Real World Tactical. These are all guys I came up with. When I got into this game, all those guys were starting out or just getting into it. So, a lot of my personal relationships. I'm leaving. Those were guys I got into. Hickok 45 has been doing it for years. I mean, he's a guy who just kind of set up a camera. It's really funny, actually. He just kind of set up a camera and boom. Boom. I mean, he's getting... It blows my mind. I spend a lot of time kind of looking around on YouTube. I spend more time on YouTube now than I do IG. I'm like a day or two behind on IG. People live on IG. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not there. I don't care. I throw a post up and I'm off it. I'm not on it like I was. I'm spending more time developing new markets and looking at new markets for companies. IG is the old market. Hickok 45 has 3.8 million subscribers. 3.8 million. It's amazing. And his videos they're not super exciting. They're not super exciting. He does give you some good, he does give you a lot of good feedback. Did I think about doing gun reviews on YouTube? Good question, Dima. I don't fancy myself a review guy. Even though I've been the CEO of firearms companies, I've run firearms companies, and I've held multiple titles of firearms companies over the last 10 years. I don't fancy myself a review guy. I don't think it's for lack of quote-unquote expertise, because then that's not talking myself up. It's more the people out there doing reviews have no business doing them. But I guess I don't think my opinion like that matters. I don't think his videos are that exciting, Cassie. I'm not taking anything away from him. I think he's exciting. I think he's the character. I think he's the salesman. I think he knows that. I don't think I'm talking out of line. I think he knows that. I think he's the kind of the talent. You know what I mean? In the whole thing. He's really the talent in the equation. And I think he does a good job. I think he does a really good job. With that. With kind of him being the character. But he has 3.8 million that give a fuck. 3.8 million. Thank you for tapping hearts, and thank you for sharing the live. The more you share, the more you tap hearts, the more I appreciate it. And if you get a chance and you head over to YouTube, that's great too. I think everyone wants to see the old guy blasting the gong. It's kind of his thing, isn't it? It's kind of just his thing. So I want to take a minute and thank the sponsors. I want to thank everybody from Kenzies Optics. I want to thank everybody from Riton Optics. And I want to thank everybody from Crossbreed, Breakthrough Clean, Taurus USA. And guys, always take a minute to thank them. I know you guys always put stuff up in your stories and you tag me. Please take a minute to thank all them. Appreciate it. So, yeah, there's a lot of different, IG, not IG, but YouTube personalities, Timo. There's the guys from Demolition Ranch. There's just a lot of different personalities. A lot of different personalities. The Demolition Ranch guys have like 6 million. And they're funny. They do cool kind of fun stuff. I've sent them guns. Yeah, Crossbreed makes a good product. Bravo Concealment makes a good product. There's a lot of good products out there. I like Crossbreed. I like Crossbreed for a lot of applications. I think they do a lot of good things. I'm trying to grow this. I don't know if this will be 3 million, but with you guys' help, if we can help proliferate it, the more you share the podcast, the more you have people sign up for the podcast, the more you are able to push the podcast, I appreciate it. The more you tap the paper airplane and invite people into the live, the more helpful it is. The more you tap hearts on the bottom, the more helpful it is. It's harder to start this stuff now, which actually stems into the last question I have, which is, how do I decide on the format or how I'm doing this? So in case you haven't noticed, I've pretty much run a podcast. I pretty much ran it Sunday through Thursday for the last 2 weeks. Sunday through Thursday for the last 2 weeks. I'll probably do a big Sunday show maybe this week. If I don't do a big Sunday show, I'm going to try to. I don't know at what time, but I'm going to try to get one out there. It's important to start it with a lot of content. And the reason you have to start it with a lot of content is you have to have the material out there for people to listen to, especially in a podcast. So if you're thinking of starting a podcast, doesn't matter who you are, like Dima, I know you're into horse racing and gambling and all that shit. And you can start a podcast based on that. But like they say, Joe Rogan in the beginning recorded 18 hours at a time. 18 hours. That's insane. He was doing 18-hour sessions in the beginning. And he didn't have guests in the beginning. Joe. He didn't have a lot of guests. Now, I've done 2 or 3 of the bigger podcasts out there on the planet. I did Mark Bell's Strength Cast. I'm into prepping, but I hate talking to people. The good thing about this is you're not talking to anybody, really. I'm talking to you guys. But you're really just talking out into space. And Cassie asked a good question the other day. She was like, did you quit dipping? People think I dip while I'm on the podcast. I'm not. I actually switch and alternate, and I've been using not just the jerky, but the grinds, coffee pouches. I'm trying to get people into the coffee pouches. Sometimes I alternate. It depends. But yes, I am still on the anti-dip train. Getting off it. I've almost all but kicked it. At SHOT Show, I had 1 or 2 dips. 1 or 2. So, yeah, it's hard. I'm way, way off from where I was. Way off. I haven't bought a tin. Way off. Not to say at NRA I might not sneak one. It's not to say at like a show at late night I might not sneak one. It's hard to kick. But I'm close. Very close. Very close. I'm on the line. Once you start doing the gum or doing this stuff, you kind of have an out. So you start to trickle away a little bit. You get that trickle effect. So that should answer that question. The last question. Here we go. 6 years cig free. That's good. I'm trying to get John to quit the cigs. ECG Media. He's almost off. He dips here and there. I got him from the cigs to the dip, which is a step. So here it is. John, who haven't you worked for that you'd like to? Ooh. That's a great question. It's probably the best one I've never been asked. That's the best one I've never been asked. So, who haven't I worked for that I'd like to? That's kind of a loaded question. Kind of a loaded question. Who haven't I worked for that I'd like to? I like working for myself, and through the years, running my own consulting company, I feel like that's been the best thing for me from time to time. I would love to work for a pistol brand. I think if everybody's paying attention to me, they can see that that's a little bit where I'm going. Rifles are so tough right now. They're so tough. They're so tough. I would work for a rifle company if they had a really big accessory build-out. A lot of accessories. If you don't want me to get off that easy and you want me... see, Joe, and you want me to name specific companies, I'd like to work for... I don't want to name specific companies yet. I'm not going to name specific companies. I'll say this. A pistol brand. Polymer's intriguing. You know, I don't think it's a secret. Working with the DLG brand. Polymer's intriguing because rifles are just so affected politically, and they're so affected by so much. You know, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure specifically what would make the most sense. But that's a good question. That's a great question. I just don't want to name the brand specifically or the brand specifically because I have a long way to go in terms of where I see what the next steps will be and how that'll make some sense. But it's exciting. I mean, there's no question. And it's an exciting time to be playing around with those types of things. I would definitely say a pistol brand would rank high. Polymer second. Polymer above that, or polymer manufacturer. And by that I mean Magpul Mission first. I'm working with one right now out of Turkey. You know, there's a few irons I have in the fire that are really exciting right now. But I think it's just a matter of really what the best opportunity is going to be, and where that opportunity is going to lie. It's not an easy decision. It never will be. So we'll see. Luckily, I'm blessed to have a few opportunities before me, but we'll see. We'll see kind of how that shakes out. But it's a really good question. It's a great question. Hats off to you. Made me think. You racked my brain. John, you were talking about fighters. Who do you think? Who did you say were the best fighters? We did that. We answered that. That was a really good question. That was a really fun... What's up, Semi-Auto Kid? That was a really good question. So we talked about that. I was talking more in the context of Tyson. We were saying, in my lifetime, I'm 37. So my age is out there. I'm 37. In my lifetime, Tyson was a superstar. Was a total superstar. Total rock star. He was, in my opinion, pound for pound in that heavyweight division, he had the best 8 to 10 year run, and I would say it's more of like an 8-year run. Like, it's important to look at the run when we were talking about dynasties and we were talking about athletes and we were talking about all that stuff. The body of work we were talking about. Because that's what I was trying to explain when we were talking about dynasties. Because Suresh came in and he was like, the Yankees. I go, but what dynasty? What dynasty could you compare the Yankees to? You know, are you talking about the whole body of work? Or are you just talking about one dynasty to compare to the Patriots. Because what I said was the Patriots' run was the most dynastic run. Whether or not they're the best franchise in football is debatable. People are using formulas now. They're kind of right on that line. They're right in that conversation with Dallas, Pittsburgh, and the Patriots. It's those three, in my opinion. San Francisco kind of thrown in there, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I would say they're all neck and neck. They're all neck and neck. Dallas probably has the best marketing. Pittsburgh probably has the best overall record or winning percentage or whatever, history, balanced history with Dallas. The 49ers and the Patriots are probably right there as outliers, kind of like bookending all around it. But Tyson, what I was saying about fighters, and you can make a case for Royce and all these people, and you can get in the MMA thing. Tyson in my lifetime was one of the most prolific, most dangerous fighters. And I'll say it till the day I die. He was a different fighter when he got out of prison. When he got out of prison, he changed. And of course, prison will do that to people. He wasn't the same. If I could see one sporting event played over in my lifetime, I would like to see Tyson Holyfield before Tyson went to prison. Before Tyson went to prison, he was a savage animal. You know, I would have liked to see that fight happen. I think he lost to Buster Douglas. He lost his way. And that began kind of like the downward spiral. And he knew he was better than Buster Douglas. He knew it. But he thought he could just do coke and party and do whatever and, you know, not train. And he just reached that point. It just wasn't. I don't know if prison took the savage out of him. It just more changed him. It humbled him. I think he was humbled, semi-auto kid. It was just a different time. People feared Tyson. Tyson was one of the most ferocious, fearsome boxers. He was Conor McGregor before Conor McGregor. He was a puncher and a hitter that we had never really seen. And I don't care what anybody says. I mean, I could go back to black and whites and spout some bullshit, but he was a puncher we hadn't seen. Not at that weight. People like to say Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano was 175 pounds. Tyson would have cleaned his clock. Wouldn't even been close. Wouldn't even been close. Rocky Marciano fought 3 fighters that were worth shit his entire career. Tyson was ferocious. He was ferocious. I do agree with Tony Atlas when he says, you know, he had 5 fights in his career and he lost all 5. I do agree with that. There's some truth to that. He had 5 difficult fights, Tyson, but it was his rise. He was so ferocious. If you Google Tyson Semi-Auto Kid on YouTube and you watch Tyson clips, he just dropped people. He just dropped them. He went through them like they weren't there. I hadn't seen anything like that till Ronda Rousey kind of came on the scene, in the way she was armbarring people. Now, she gets a bad rap because it was a woman's division and all that jazz. Get it? You know, it was a woman's division thing, but man, she was crushing people. She was crushing people. And then, of course, Ronda lost like 1 fight, and all the haters came out. It was a fixed division, and it was rigged. Blah 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 blah. You know, she was never that good. You know, all that bullshit. But I think that's horseshit. Ronda Rousey was as good as anybody, but Tyson really, you know, he just dominated. It was the way he won. Well, what happens, Semi-Auto Kid, is what happens to a lot of people in the MMA. In the MMA, your career is very short. There's very few guys that have had like these long careers. You know, I think here and there you're seeing people being dusted off in the MMA for kind of like these comeback fights. Like you see like BJ Penn still fighting here and there. You see certain guys coming out, you know, and they've been in the game for a long time, but they're not what they were. You know, John Bones Jones already had like a great long career. But it's hard to see these guys have these. It's just the pounding they take. It's a different kind of style of fighting. But what happened to Ronda was, fame. You get to the top of the game. You get to the top of the game, man, and it's like, it's hard to maintain that. She was doing movies, she was doing this, she was doing that. She had her hand in all these different things. And how can you maintain that? How can you maintain that discipline? I couldn't. God bless her. As long as she did, I couldn't do it. She did it for an extended period of time. So my hat's off to her. She did a great job with it for a long period of time. But she was doing, don't forget, she's doing movies, she's doing photo shoots, she's traveling. The toll that takes on you, and just, it's crazy. It's not that it's just a lot to deal with, it's also just maintaining that high level of commitment to the sport. Anytime you want to be really good at a sport or anything, you have to totally immerse yourself into it. Like, I was only halfway decent at shooting when I was shooting 2,000 rounds a month. And you look at top pros, they shoot 10,000 rounds a month. Yeah, I can be hot shit at a little $2 range, local, at home. But if you want to be like world class, you want to be on that level, you need to be shooting a lot of rounds. A lot of rounds. I can pull some good runs out of my ass, but that's only because I've trained and been around some of the best on the planet, and I've shot a lot of rounds. But you gotta put the time in with anything. With anything. And with most of those sports where you have to have that universal commitment, the top 1 or 2% make money. And that's it. It's the top couple percent that make money. You got a lot of shoot fast guys, a lot of guys that can shoot quick, a lot of guys that look cute on Instagram or in videos. That's about it. That's about all it's good for. That's about it. I don't know where it gets you. See a lot of those guys come and go. They win some matches, I guess. They win some matches. I don't know what that means. I guess it's competitive. But the top guys are, they're training their ass off. They're training their ass off. So, gotta train your ass off. Especially if you're gonna do, whether it's jiu-jitsu. What did I think of the State of the Union? Dima, I knew a political question would come. I try not to get political because the sponsors don't like it. They can deal with a lot of stuff, and the sponsors and the companies that support don't necessarily, they try not to get too political. And it's not, no, I don't mind answering. I thought the president did a great job being presidential. I think for the first time in his administration, he was very presidential. I think he's done a great job managing a lot of things, but I think he looked like a president. And I think people who know him, and I have very very short degrees of separation to him, I should say that. Let me say that. And that's accurate. He looked very presidential. He looked great. And to mutual people between he and I, that's what I said. I think he carried himself in a manner that he really put the pressure on the right folks. And that's important. And I think he put a lot of pressure on the right folks to take a little gut check. A little gut check. I think that was real. And I said as much to those between us. It's important. But I hope that answers your question. As far as specifics, I stay out of specifics. I stay out of the specifics if I can help it. Because everybody starts to have an opinion. Bushcraft? Which Bushcraft? Isn't there like 3 Bushcrafts? Isn't there like a Bushcraft, you're talking about, there's a Bushcraft knives, I know that. That I know. There's Bushcraft field guides, I know that. Tell me to which Bushcraft you're referring to. Because that's usually, there's a survival skills. And I don't know if they do training courses still. Didn't they just sell books or now they're online? Or they're online? I mean, I go to IA Woodsman for all my survival stuff. Terry's an old friend of mine. He's an old Air Force guy. He's now a fireman. And then I know there's Bushcraft knives. That much I do know. I think they make knives. Right? Right. I use Tops knives. If it answers the knives question. The Bushcraft Survival guys, not the book series. I don't know if IA Woodsman is a part of them. Semi-Auto Kid, take a look. A good gun belt, Dima. Check if IA Woodsman's a part of Bushcraft. It'll say it in his bio. Go look at Terry's thing. And if you message Terry, tell him I sent you if you need tips. He's got a good following. He's really good survival stuff. As far as good gun belts go, I've had a lot of luck through the years. My duty belts were always Safariland, but I've had a lot of luck through the years. It depends. If you're looking for more of like a training belt, it depends what you're doing. I don't know how much training you do, Dima. Or what level of training, I should say. If you're doing like concealed carry courses, you just go on the range and shooting and fucking around. You can get like a high speed gear belt. I have, just an everyday belt. Just get a crossbreed belt. They make the best leather. They outsource their leather, I believe, for the belts. Or they may not now. But their belts, at least because their belts look like belts. That's what I like about their belts. They look normal. Their belts look normal. If you go look at their belts, they actually look like a normal belt. You know? That's the whole thing. But coming back to to that stuff, to the shoot, talking about earlier a little bit, the shoot fast stuff. You know, that's people's prerogative. It's all in how you choose to market yourself at the end of the day. You know, how you choose to market yourself and how you choose to put yourself out there is all, that's going to be what's in the pudding. You know? And that's all it is. For everybody, it's a gimmick or a gadget and how they market themselves. I never really chose to market myself as like a shoot fast guy or put that stuff out there because, not for lack of doing it, it's just I knew that wasn't forever. The model for that was very, very short. It was going to be a very short model. You know, I can get out there, oh, look, I got a sub 1 second draw. I'm going to put all my tactical gear on. How's it going to look when you're 60? I just didn't think it was a long model. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to be doing it like fatting in my 50s. Like, to me, it's just not cool. I mean, it's not great. You know? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that was just me. You know, yeah, I mean, I didn't see, I just didn't like that model. And the reason for that is I came from a fitness background too. And in my fitness background, there just weren't a lot of 50-year-old personal trainers out there. They just didn't exist. No disrespect to, you know, my boys who are trainers at that age, but it's a very short shelf life. You know, and even in sponsorship, when I would sponsor people and I would be involved with people, I was always careful. You know, you always try to choose people that, like, squared away, the term squared away. You're squared away. Because there's just not a lot meat on that bone. Like the whole shoot fast thing. And I know a lot of other guys in my marketing circles, they were careful too. They didn't want a lot of shoot fast guys. And I'm not talking about Max Michel's. Those are world champions. That's different. When I say shoot fast, I'm talking about people that's how they marketed themselves, as the quick draw guys. I'm going to be a quick draw guy. I'm quick. Because there's always somebody quicker. And that's like, the shelf life for that's like, boom. Johnny Targets is in here. Johnny Targets will tell you. He'll tell you. He'll agree with me. Of course he will. You know? That's a short shelf life. That's a super short shelf life. And that's not disrespecting anybody. Fuck, if you're talented and you shoot quick, great. Power to you. More power to the cause. But more power to the cause. I mean, I'd get Jonathan on here and get his opinion. He'll tell you. You know, one target company to another. Those are different animals. It's just hard to get behind that. You know, if that's your niche. You know, it's just tough. I mean, that's just a marketing observation more than it's anything. It's not just the real life scenarios, semi-auto kit. It's not going down that road, you know? Jonathan, you can jump on and talk about it. But you're absolutely right. We're not talking about competitors. Being a competitor at a high level, national champion, world champion, that's a whole different animal. That's a whole different conversation. I'm not talking about JJ or Max or those guys or the Shane Coolies or anything like that. Like those are friends of mine. Those are different animals. I'm talking about the IG shoot fast guys. It's hard if you're sponsoring those guys to be like, oh, okay, like that's like saying I'm gonna sponsor, a guy who runs a quick 40 by Nike. Okay, he's fast. But there's always going to be Usain Bolt. And Max Michel is Usain Bolt. You know. Taron Butler is Usain Bolt. There's always going to be... And that's the best way to compare it. And Jonathan will tell you. Yeah, no, I figure. But, because you would have already. But you know what I mean. You know, is the it's all about the content to an extent, but you can't say it's all about the content because a lot of those, especially those competitive guys, they struggle with the content. The competitive guys, in some cases, are the worst with the content, unless it's produced for them, because they just want to focus on competing, and that's okay. And there's truth to that because really all the sponsors want them to do is focus on the competing. You know, that's why you look at some of their IGs and they're okay. They're okay. I think a lot of competitors put the fitness component in because people want to see how they train on and off the range. That makes sense. They should. I've actually pushed a lot of them to do that. That's something I would talk to Shane about. That's something I would talk to JJ about. All those guys. We'd talk about it, fitness. And they would see Tony do it, and to an extent other people. Yeah, they have credibility in competition. Yeah, content has to be there without the credibility, but the content has to be exceptional. It's got to be exceptional. If you're not a world-class competitor, to pick up high-level sponsorship or high-level, whatever you want to call it, credibility, kudos, you better have insane content. And to me, a lot of people's content's one-dimensional. It's Instagram and then it's nowhere else. That's really the only place that I see it. And I fancy myself more of a sideline guy. Kind of watch, observe, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I don't have a single issue with that. I don't have a single issue with watching from the, content. We're talking about Banyan. You kind of jumped in, I know, a second in. Competitors, content, shoot fast guys, all those things. And like any other sport, competitors are in a world all their own. I'd like to start getting more healthy, or I'll do some etc., etc. When did I get into fitness? I got into fitness when I was about 13 years old. I used to walk to the gym from my house. I used to walk to World's Gym. It used to be World's Gym in East Boston, Massachusetts. I used to walk to it. It used to be called World's Gym Logan Airport. I used to walk to that gym. If Dima's still in here, Dima will tell you, his brother would remember, I used to just walk to the gym. And I was just known as a kid who went to the gym. I used to walk to the gym and train. It was the only real outlet I had for training. There wasn't a lot. I think I did karate for a little while as a kid, but I think Dima will tell you everybody did karate from my neighborhood. A couple years I did karate. I did, in college, I mean, we all did kind of like church karate as kids from like East Boston, Revere. You had like 3 karate studios on that Route 1 cut up. I think you know what I mean. Going up towards Peabody. There was a handful of little karate studios, and we all did that. And we all did, Boy Scouts for a couple of years. That was a thing. Dirty boxing. Well, my uncle was a boxer. My uncle was a world champion boxer. He was a world champion boxer. He was the only active service member to hold a world title. I don't talk about him that often, but that's a fact. That's a fact. His name was Sal Bartolo. He was a featherweight world champion. He lost the belt to Willie Pep. Yeah, Dima, I mean, your brother would remember a little bit because you were a little bit younger. But, I mean, that was all I did. I was like 13 years old. I walked to the gym. I got into football and baseball at a very young age. I was a really good baseball player. I was actually a better baseball player than I ever got credit for, in my opinion. But I think that was because I was a little bit bigger by the time I was a senior and junior in high school. And I think they just didn't equate big with speed because we had a very old baseball coach, and Dima knows what I'm talking about. But I was a pretty good baseball player. I thought I was a good baseball player. Horrible basketball player. I think, Dima, you were in the same boat as me. I think we both thought we were good basketball players. I think we both can relate to each other on that one. No offense. But I think we both thought we were better basketball players than we were. At least I was under the delusion I was a good basketball player as a kid. Yeah, I think we both can agree. We were like, we thought we were good. I think you did too. I definitely did. I definitely did. We look back, we laugh about it now. We can laugh about it now, for sure. But I was horrific. But I was a pretty good baseball player. I thought I was a really decent baseball player. I won a lot of, I went to a lot of camps, a lot of AAU stuff, a lot of travel stuff with baseball, and I pretty much just played football. But I got bigger and bigger. And in high school, I'm telling you, in high school, I never did like the performance enhancers or any shit like that. In high school, I just grew. It was more out of fear. I was afraid to do any of that shit. But I took everything over the counter that I could get my hands on. But what happened to me was, people don't, Dima might not even know, probably doesn't know the story, his brother will know the story. I broke my leg in the 8th grade. So between 8th grade and 10th grade, I feel like I grew all that size that I was supposed to have grown between 8th and 9th grade. That was the whole thing. So I had a major life growth spurt. I had braces for 1 year, and I got them off the moment my first day of high school, the day before or the day after my first day of high school. So I had this major life growth spurt. All of it. In that stretch. Yeah. In that stretch. But I think I was a pretty good baseball player. Never really had a thirst for hockey. Even though I was from Boston, I never really had a thirst for hockey. And I was decent at roller hockey. I liked roller hockey. I liked it as a kid. Enjoyed it. But I never liked hockey. You know what it was? I didn't, my cousins played it and everything, but I just didn't get along with a lot of, the personalities that were in it. And it was all very, Chinese to me. It was like a Canadian sport, and I was just kind of ugh. I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. It just seemed a little off to me. Any thoughts on mass gainers? No, I always had mass. Just drink protein shakes. I mean, if you want to gain mass, find something with a lot of calories. Around. On deck batter told me slide too late. Bilateral dislocation, but by yellow jackets. Yellow jackets. I see what you're saying. You tore something. Yeah, sliding into home. Yeah. The only place I ever really slid much was into second. Home always had these weird, like, when you played in these travel in high school, and I played a lot of AU stuff coming up. Baseball was very political locally near me. The home plate area, I noticed, was always very cut up and dug out. I was always cautious not to slide into it. There's too many divots and too much weird shit going on at home plate. When I got done with high school, I went to college. When I got done with college and playing sports there, I came home and I played a lot of softball. And I was really good at softball. That was kind of how I had like my second coming into baseball, softball. I played on a travel softball team, a really good softball team. Dima may remember that. I played on one of the best softball teams around in the Boston area. I mean, we dominated. We won like championship after championship. I won like 6-7 years of local championships, and we traveled and everything. It was a fast pitch softball league, and it was it was fast pitch softball, and it was and then in the other league you could steal. In the travel team you could steal, so they were stealing as well. And I was very good at that. Dima will tell you, I played on a very, very, very good team. Very good club. They were like the best around. Like not everybody was playing for them. Period. Really good team. I played for a while for them. And I played on that team. That was a tough team. That was a lot of good athletes on the team. At one point, a former Patriot played on the team. A former semi-professional minor league baseball player played on that team. That was probably a collection of the best athletes in my neighborhood for sure. For sure. At least in my age group. When I played on that local softball team, that was the best collection of of athletes growing up in my neighborhood. Absolutely. And at least it was a collection of all the best athletes that I grew up watching, too, when I came home. But as far as to answer your question, when I got into lifting weights, I was never a bodybuilder because I was never really into bodybuilding, semi-auto kid. I was more into functional fitness, powerlifting, explosive movements. Like I said, I did karate, and then I got deep into sports, and then did jiu-jitsu. Started doing jiu-jitsu, trained at the Gracie Academy, got into shooting, all that stuff. So I was never, I would never around bodybuilders and professional bodybuilder friends of mine know what I'm talking about. I would never use the term bodybuilder. Because if you never got on stage, you should never say bodybuilder. Bodybuilding is an aesthetic thing. Out of respect for them and their competition, I never say bodybuilder until I step on stage, if I ever do. So I would never fancy myself to say I was a bodybuilder. Those guys are professionals. What do I think a good place for you to start is just by going and setting a schedule you can stick to. Set a schedule you can stick to. I'm by no means the authority. Yes, to Caldy's point, I own a couple of bench press New England records. At the 242-pound weight class, I bench pressed over 500 pounds raw, and that's documented. That was under the EPF Federation. I did it under the Raw Federation at one point, and I believe that they're still on the website. They still stand. I have the trophies. I have the certificates. That happened. Now everything's USPSA, and since then, that was years ago. So start with consistency. You're not going to get there right away. Start with consistency. 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Stay being consistent. The more consistent you are, the better you'll be. Consistency is everything. Consistency in shooting, consistency in training. Yes, I don't think it's a good thing to be overweight. I don't think you should be. I've always been a pretty big guy, going back to probably my junior year of high school. I mean, I graduated high school, I was pretty heavy. I was pretty big by then. So I always done a good job maintaining it and staying consistent. A good place to start's the doctor. There's some truth to that. Start with the doctor. But you have to start somewhere. So you have to really start somewhere with the training and with the consistency of the training. Be consistent. Consistency is what kills. Be consistent. Stay on top of it. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Quick reminder, thank you to all the sponsors. Thank you to everybody who's downloaded on Podbean. If you got the Podbean updates, please take a minute to download the episodes and listen to the episodes. The listen time and watch time is important. If you head over to YouTube, please remember to download all the YouTube stuff and hit like and subscribe. And take a minute tonight to make sure you put the YouTube on or leave the YouTube on. I appreciate it when you do that. What's up, Tyrese? Please take a minute to download all that stuff. If you head over to YouTube, please take a minute to watch an episode. Leave an episode on, watch an episode. Put it on your phone and go in the shower. I don't give a shit. But make sure you give it a listen or give it a watch. Take a minute. The YouTube stuff's important. Please tap the thumbs up on all the different stuff and leave comments on all the old stuff. Help me out with the YouTube stuff. Caldy, share one on your Facebook. Share one or two. I appreciate it, guys. It means a lot. To all you guys that are in here. If you share it, especially Caldy, you share it, say, hey, help a local guy out. Share it. Anything new coming out with Maiden? You mean Maiden Apparel? I talked to Isabel the other day. She is at the Great American Outdoor Show in Pennsylvania. She's working on something for me. She does my cards. She does a lot of stuff, a lot of banners. She's awesome. She's awesome. She's always coming out with stuff. She's going to be at the Arnold. I know she's doing Tony's booth. I don't know that I'm making the Arnold this year, though. It just comes up too quick. I just have too much going on. I'd like to make it because it would help with content and with stuff like that, but I just don't know that I will. Yeah, Semi-Auto Kids, share it on Twitter. 12.4 is good. Share it over there. I appreciate it. The more you share, the helpful it is, especially in the beginning. Just getting it off the ground. It's just to get it off the ground, guys. So I'm going to push that. It's growing slowly. It's growing steadily. I think Semi-Auto, you've been paying attention to it. It's growing steadily. I think I started with, was it like 400 or 500 on YouTube, and now it's creeping. I noticed a big spike in a huge spike in people following and in people watching. So there's a big spike. So I'm expecting a big spike in subscribership and everything else. That happens. It tends to happen. Like 100 or so came over. I'll expect another couple hundred will come over pretty quickly. I think we have that much gas in us because I posted on, and it's always trailing numbers. The numbers update slowly, just like they update slowly on iTunes. So I ask everybody on iTunes to tap 5 stars and to share it and to tap 5 stars. It helps me out when you do that. It helps me out. So the more you take the time to share the podcast, everything else, the YouTube, the iTunes, at least once a week, say, hey, this is what I'm listening to. Give it a listen, guys. It's the only way I'm going to grow this. And it's the only way I'm going to be able to keep helping you guys out and keep giving back. So the more I can grow it, the stronger it makes it. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I think we're up to 107 5-star reviews. Nevin's in a foot. Yeah. 107 ratings on iTunes. That's awesome. And I told you we were ranked 161 in the category. That's also helpful. That tells me a lot. Yeah, Alex Jones and Joe Rogan are always going at it. They used to be really good friends. They at least had a relationship, and I think Joe said many times, I think part of it is, and I can understand Joe, believe me, I think part of it is Alex is just spouting off whatever he can, trying to piggyback on Joe's growth, because I think Alex Jones is chasing Joe Rogan a little bit. I believe, let me look. I like to put a little fact behind this, so give me a second here. Yes, I do. I think I have him in a foot race. We'll see. Alex Jones. I'm trying to get some facts, some data behind this. Yeah, he's trying to draft in his followers, and that's what people do. They use a tactic called disinformation. And that's part of the problem with social media. Is there's so much fake news and so much bullshit. You know, like, you have to see the shit that I see that gets said, even about me, that I'm like, I've never heard that. That's new. That's crazy. And that's kind of what Joe's going through with Alex. He said that some of the stuff that Alex is saying, he's never said. And the thing is, Alex has some ties to some high-profile people, but he has just enough ties to some high-profile people that he gets away with what he gets away with. So I believe he's banned on YouTube. I can't find him on YouTube. I think he's off YouTube. I know he's off Twitter. I know that. So he might... Why... So he's kicked off YouTube, he's kicked off Apple, and he's kicked off Facebook, according to this. So I watch Joe's stuff. I have friends that have been on Joe Rogan. You know, I have acquaintances that have been on Joe Rogan. I have not been on Joe Rogan. I had one email correspondence with someone, and I've sent him data. So I'm trying to think. I think it's Crispy's been through the same process kind of I have. Or Crispy's gone back and forth with them. And similar to Mark Bell, they do a little bit of like an intake. And then you just kind of wait and you see if you're ever going to be on the show or whatever. I know as far as the gun thing goes, he goes up and down, he goes back and forth, he's all over the place. He's a big bow hunter, but he goes back and forth. So I can only comment from like the spectator seat is what I'm getting at, guys. So I'm a little bit of a spectator. I think Alex Jones has become a bit of a sensationalist. And, you know, Rush Limbaugh had like a drug problem and he became a bit of a sensationalist, a little bit like the Inquirer. He like went off the deep end, but he reeled it back in. And Rush Limbaugh was able to like keep it together and stay like a news insider deal. I think Alex Jones tried to become a conspiracy theorist. And anytime you become like this crazy conspiracy theorist, it's tough. It's tough to reel it back in. They admit that a lot of it's fake, Caldy. Now, as far as the disinformation and Joe Rogan and all that goes, what I was getting at earlier, what I was trying to say is I don't know Joe. I don't know him personally. I have acquaintances that have been on the show. I think Joe's a great conversationalist. I think some episodes he gets high as fuck. Like that Tyson one, I thought he missed a great opportunity to have an awesome interview with him. But I'm not being critical. I'm just, I know he'll do it again and he'll do it great. But I think he's a great conversationalist. He's awesome. And he keeps it light, which I like. And he's even better on YouTube. He's better on YouTube than he is on iTunes. He's way better. And I think I'm better on iTunes than I am on YouTube personally. But, I think, or Instagram. But I think Joe is just trying to tell Alex to stop. And I can relate to a lot of what Joe's going through. I can relate to it. I understand it. I think Alex is putting a lot of disinformation out there about Joe, trying to piggyback on Joe and get Joe to talk about him. And I think where Joe makes the mistake is Joe uses names. I don't use names. I don't name names. I won't give people the credit. But I think there's people out there that'll post and they'll create fake accounts and they'll do this and they'll do that. It is what it is. I think they banned him for different reasons, Semi-Auto Kid. I think they banned Alex Jones for different reasons. I think anytime, and this is what some of these haters in the firearms business and some of these people need to be careful of, and they hide behind, they need to be careful. They go far off the deep end. People record those lives. And I know some of them have been recorded. They record those lives of these people doing some dumb shit. They're going to lose their account. And the blessing and the curse of being high profile is if you go high profile. I thought my ear was bleeding. I've had like one of those like little pimples inside your ear, and it fucking kills. And I know you know what I'm talking about, so none of you guys try to front and act like you don't, because I know you know what I'm talking about. The only thing worse is the pimple inside your nose. When you get a pimple inside your nose, you wanna kill yourself. You till it pops, you contemplate suicide. But I think Joe. I think he's doing the best he can to manage that situation, and I think he's dealing with it in the best way he knows how. So, yeah, I mean, there's people on these lives, Semi-Auto Kid. I don't fucking get it. They talk shit about people. They put stuff out there. Like, there's one person, not going to name him. I don't know him. I've had one conversation with him, and Cassie knows who I'm talking about. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. He knows me through third parties. But he talks about me like he knows me. I've had to block him in here. I've blocked him in here. I don't know him. And then there's another guy, I haven't talked to him in 2 years or 3 years. But they piggyback. And that's what they do. I got to sign off. I'm going to sign back on because it's going to kick me off. And Noah, I just saw you come in. I'm going to get with you. I'm going to sign off and sign back in, and we'll wrap up. And we'll wrap up shortly. We'll finish my point on Alex Jones. So we'll finish that point on Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. So I think it's a good question. I think it's a really good question. I do. I think it's a great question that gets asked. And we'll kind of wrap on it for a minute. I don't know what I did with my drink. I had a cold drink here a second ago. We'll see if I can get one. Noah, are you going to the Arnold? Or are you going NRA though? You're going NRA. I know that. I know you were probably part of the delay. Yeah, NRA. I don't know if I'm going to Arnold. And people were shocked by it. We'll see. Tony's getting a Airbnb. I got to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. So the question was Alex Jones and the Joe Rogan thing and piggybacking on people by having like these online fights. And this might be something Noah wants to chime in on. And I'll wrap up on this point because it's a good question. It's a really good question, actually, as it pertains to social media. And I'll kind of wrap on this for the YouTube guys listening and the people on Stitcher. I get people that watch me on Periscope has grown fast for me. Yeah, Arnold's a good one, but yeah, I know, I hear you. Periscope's grown fast for me. I don't understand. I guess I'm not meant to understand it, but Periscope's been an interesting one. I have like this crazy following on Periscope, which is cool. Yeah, it's kind of out of nowhere, Periscope. So these online fights like the Joe Rogan, Alex Jones thing. What's up, DEFCON? So the Joe Rogan, Alex Jones thing. So yeah, if you get a chance, check me out. I'm very kind at SHOT Show. Very kind. Super nice. And I'd like to definitely thank you for that. And if you guys haven't checked out DEFCON, check them out. Sweet, sweet dudes. Awesome. I like that. And that's what I look for. You know, nice guys. So, real fast, the Alex Jones, Joe Rogan thing, and as it pertains to the internet. Let's do like that, huh? As it pertains to the internet, you will always have people that will piggyback off of you. You know, they want to piggyback. So since shadow banning and stuff like that's come into play, you know, I get it. Like accounts, all of our accounts, we've all been hit. Donald Trump Jr.'s been hit. We've all been whacked. Shadow banning sucks. It sucks. But what you have is you have people that piggyback. Yeah, he does do sick work. He does a lot of the stipple work. I would have a bunch of his work. I don't have a bunch of his work. I don't have guns to send him or anything. And typically what I do is more of the polymer-based work. Two people have always done my guns. Taryn Butler, and of course, Lou from Business End Customs. If anybody's from New England, they know Lou. Lou does more of the epoxy finish. He does an epoxy finish to the gun. See how clean that is? It's an epoxy layer over. Okay? And what the epoxy does, this is what gets you shadow banned. And in case you're wondering why there's not 500 people in a live, this is fucking why. Okay? Because what happens is there ends up being guns in the live. So the epoxy's kind of always been my jam. Okay? And Lou at Business End does it almost as good as Roba, and they were the original. But I'm old school. I remember when there was 3 people in this whole game. So Lou only does 1911s now, and he does these for me. I just had a 19 and a 17 done. It's clean. This is just a carry package. You know, this is a carry package. So I buy a 17 and a 19 every year, and I have 2 done by Lou, and I have 2 done by Taryn. I buy the 17 and the 19 for Lou. Taryn usually gives me the guns. He's very generous. Anybody who knows Taryn personally, Taryn Butler is one of the most generous human beings ever. In DEF CON, I have one of the most obnoxious guns ever. I'm actually going to go get it. I'm going to show it to you. It's a super obnoxious pistol. So there's only 2 people I know that have this gun. I know others have it, but I'm saying there's only 2 people I know that have this gun. So if you're from New England and you haven't had Lou from Business End Customs do a gun for you, Lou is hands down one of the best. He does the epoxy treatment with you know, the little bit of the trigger job there and the action job, and it makes it absolutely buttery smooth for a carry gun. I mean, it's absolutely crispy. You cannot beat this. Not my friend Crispy, but crispy. It's clean, and that's the epoxy, and that's That's in the 19. This is one of the most obnoxious guns I own. So nobody in their right mind would pay money for this, unless you had all the money in the world. This is one of Taran's Glock 26s. Okay? This is totally obnoxious. It's a Glock 26, and it's sick. Just go to Business End Customs, Semi-Auto Kid. Tell Lou I sent you. Lou only does 1911 work. To get him to do a Glock will be tough. You're gonna have to ask him. He's only. So this is one of Taran's Glock 26s. Not a lot of people will put $2,000 into a 26. Pretty ridiculous. But Taran's always been a kind friend, and he's been great to me through the years. But I use my 17s when I train. There's no info to send. Go to Business End Customs. Just go to his IG. There's no info to send you. There's nothing to send you. Yeah. So no one in their right mind, Noah will tell you, no one in their right mind will. And Noah, if you want to come on, I have a mic set up. You'll be around the podcast. If you want to go live, you'll be right on. You'll be streaming. We can talk about disinformation, and we can talk about handguns, and we can talk about everything else. Yeah, but the point is, and no one knows how I feel about these handguns. No one in their right mind. That's a tough game to get into. DEF CON will tell you, that's a really tough game to get into right now. Super tough. I used to manage the media and branding for Polymer 80. I used to do a lot of work with Polymer 80. I used to do the IG. I used to do a lot of stuff with them. I've worked with them for years. I know that whole game. And now that lasers are coming into it and the laser etching, that game's changing. It's changing drastically. So you better be doing some sick work. You have to be doing sick work. And DEF CON does do sick work. But I know Lou's always been a 1911 guy. He's a 1911 guy. You know? That's always been his jam. So, I mean, I see the value in that stuff and having a good handgun. You know, I get it. I saw a crazy meme that kind of bashed that work. That bashed that work, or bashed having all that work done to guns. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I really didn't. I thought it took a slap at a lot of the people in the industry, and that's too bad. And I don't know why people do that. They take slaps at good folks trying to make money. I don't understand that. Piece of beef jerky. So, hopefully that answers the question about the handguns, and hopefully that answers the question about disinformation, without getting too deep into the Alex Jones thing. Send meme. There's no meme to send. I mean, there's plenty of memes out there. Oh my God, Knox. We were talking about that earlier. You weren't on. I don't name names, but Alex Jones and Joe Rogan are going at it. And we were talking about it, and Semi-Auto Kid brought it up. I said, if anybody knows about disinformation, it's me. And I think Alex Jones is doing a little disinformation and piggybacking on Joe Rogan. And the reason for that is Alex Jones doesn't have a platform. Well, he doesn't have a platform because he's getting pulled off every platform. And when he's getting pulled off every platform, he's probably losing income, and he's probably losing the ability to earn income because of it. So, causing him some problems. Bump stock ban and its implications. I've said this before. I've gone public with this before. I don't think much of the bump stock count. I'm going to tell you why. I understand where you're going to go with this, and I'm smart enough to see it. The bump stock is ugly as fuck. And I know people, I know Noah will actually be a great authority on this. I think we talked about this on the podcast, on the other podcast before. Bump stocks are ugly as fuck. And you have to ask yourself, is that the hill you want to die on fighting for rights? I don't think it is. I don't think that's the hill you want to die on. Now, braces, yeah, we'd be prepared to fight that fight. We won a major victory with braces. Nobody will argue that. Major victory. That was a major coup, winning that. But it's not the hill you want to die on. Not with bump stocks. I mean, this 10 people that are coming through here every couple minutes, there's usually a couple hundred that pass through my lives. Let me ask the 10 people in here, how many people in here actually own a bump stock? How many? I bought one, I never put it on the gun 5, 6, 7 years ago because it was ugly. I was like, this thing's ugly as fuck. Yeah, but you never own one. I understand where you're going with it. It's the erosion of rights piece. I get it. But it's not a hill you want to die on, and those are separate points. It's not a hill. It's not a hill anybody's prepared to die on. Like, I'm not prepared to die on that hill. No one in here is prepared to die on that hill. You shouldn't be prepared to die on that hill. It's not like where you want to take the fight to. So when people say take the fight to them, you're not going to take the fight to them over bump stocks. Because you wouldn't. They are useless, but they shouldn't be banned. It's a good point, Noah. But I just think if that's the political ping pong ball you have to tap, who cares? Because there'll be something better than that that'll come out. There'll be like a trigger, like the TACON trigger was pretty fucking damn close. Pretty damn close, if you remember that trigger. It's just not the place to die. And I had a very high-profile politician actually say the same thing to me. Is that the hill you want to die on? You have to understand, in politics, these are all horse trades. But that's not where you want to fight your battle. Yeah. I mean, you can just rig a fucking Geisley, and you don't have to make your gun look like a cheesy puzzle piece, and you can have full auto. Without having the third bang of the sear. It's pretty fucking easy if you know anything about triggers. So, but finishing on the point, I literally just put together my first AR pistol with my dad as we were watching your podcast. Now, I appreciate that, Roland. I appreciate it. Hopefully you shared it too. I appreciate it. What'd you put together? How many, 10 inch? Do I think braces are next on the chopping block? I think anything could be next. I think they'll go after anything. Did you see the bill trying to pass where they were trying to make every gun owner have firearms insurance? No, that's BS. Yeah, I could see that. No, Dima. Leave. 7.5 inch? That sounds fun. It's going to have a hell of a blast. You got to go to New Hampshire, Dima. I don't know what you're doing for work now, but you got to go to New Hampshire. If you're still in East Boston and you're like everybody else, you're probably trying to get into politics or sell real estate. But hopefully you left. I mean, I'm trying, my girl won't leave. Yeah, the women tend to not want to leave that place. It's more the women, I've noticed. I actually can't blame the guys. My mother was that way. Like, my mother will die in that stoop in that neighborhood. God love her. You know, they'll find her on that stoop. No driver's license, apron still on, hair to the moon. You know what I mean? They'll find her there. All right, there'll be a nuclear blast. They'll find her on that stoop. 7.5's fun, Roland. It's fun. It's something about that neighborhood, Dima. Yeah, it's just something about that neighborhood. It's just, they just won't leave. You'll find the same people in, what's the name of the place? What's the name of the Chinese food place everybody goes to? I think my aunt still goes there. I got cousins that go there too. You're practically family anyway. What's the Chinese food place everybody goes to? They'll find everybody dead in there. Little Asia. It's funny. I was talking to Gillespie about that the other day. I called him. I was texting him. I was wishing him love. You know, he's had some promotions and stuff happen to him. And Mike and I catch up every now and then. We always keep in touch. I mean, don't forget, Mike and I went to high school and college together. So Mike and I are closer than people think. You know, we kind of always have that, you know, one text away deal. But yeah, I mean, there's something about that neighborhood. You know, I never anticipated leaving, but I did always want to run a company. That was always kind of my dream, so I knew I'd have to leave. I always kind of had it in the back of my head. Because where I grew up is so inbred politically that unless, like, you're, like, a member of Rotary and you're, like, you know, like one of the town political people, you know, you'll never... But that's New England in general. That's how New England is. New England's very that way. You know, you'll never, like, be anybody unless, like, you know, you're on the political deal. But, so, oh, Grant, you're in here. Perfect. So Grant was nice enough to be in Vegas. He was in Vegas when people were asking me about winning the money in the slot machine. So people who watched my stories saw the slot machine victory, and people thought like I was rich. Like they thought I saw like this. They thought I was rich, and when we were at SHOT Show, and we hit that 6 diamonds. I think it was 6 diamonds or 7 diamonds on that wheel 007 wheel game. But the reality was we were all stuffing money in it, and Grant and the crew from Crossbreed were all in the proximity. So, Providence sucks. I live in the Kingston area. It's much, much better. Yeah. Canon average, Second Amendment loving, AR building, gun enthusiast due to advance our cause. I wouldn't call myself an industry leader, Kenneth, but I appreciate that. I would definitely, you know, I'll give myself some credit. I won't always be, you know, I know a lot about, I'm an industry insider. I wouldn't say leader. The average person can just buy a lot of guns and support the cause. You know, people say like write letters and everything and vote, you know, and in a course of, you know, as far as like the social media stuff, just support it and just anything you can do. I mean, buying a lot of guns is the first step. You know, supporting the good gun companies is the first step. Supporting the good holster companies, supporting the good people in the industry, that's the first step. You know, being as pro 2A and proactive in the 2A community as you can is always the first step. The more proactive you can be in the community in any way is going to support the cause. And as far as advancing the cause or pushing the issue, you know, start a company. Start a company that supports it. You know, start a company. Yeah, back in 95 when Federal Hill was still Italian, I went to college there. Yeah, Federal Hill. A lot of fun. Great area. That's where Rhode Island's where the first Capital Grill started. So if anyone's been to a Capital Grill chain, you know, Rhode Island's where it began. That one down in Providence is awesome. So I almost went down there. I almost went to the University of Rhode Island. It's close. That was a big, if you didn't get into BC, you went there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know, Knox. I know. We got you and I. Yeah, a lot of the guys, Knox, Caldy, they go down. People you see in here that have New England roots, Dima, myself, you know, we all kind of same town. I get it. Yeah, Johnson and Wells. Holy shit, 95, yeah, things changed a lot since back then. It was a whole nother world back then, yeah. In 1995, I was just about to enter high school. In 95. I was just going to enter high school. So I want to close. Hopefully I answered your question about Joe Rogan and... what's up, Rob? Hopefully I answered your question about Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. And it's funny you brought that up because I was talking about that with a high-profile friend of mine, federal employee, We were talking about disinformation. Yeah, Noah, you were in college, but don't forget, I was 19 years old when I graduated high school. We're not that far apart, motherfucker. So, yeah. But, yeah, the Alex Jones, Joe Rogan thing came up, and we were just talking about disinformation and people piggybacking on people, because that happens a lot. I'll see you, Deem. I went longer than expected. I'll see you. Have fun in Little Asia. Get the crab rangoons. I wonder if that place has changed at all. People probably still play Keno in there, right? Yeah, I probably haven't darkened that doorstep in 15 years. It's been 15 years since I had you, right? So, since I had you as a student, as a player, and I used to coach football, shit, it probably hasn't changed a bit. It's crazy. Nice people, the owners, though. Nice people. Real nice folks. All good people. None of them were bad people in that neighborhood. There's a few bad people, but we didn't eat our own. We weren't like Southie kids. That's one thing I can say. We weren't like Southie kids. We didn't kill our own. We usually protected our own in our neighborhood. That was the good thing. Ball busting, but we never ate our own. We all broke each other's balls evenly. It's pretty even. So, in my expert opinion, you move the industry forward by helping out and participating. Yeah, I was watching Alex earlier today after I seen Joe's podcast last night. So I had to ask your opinion and seem like you watch. Yeah, I watched Joe's stuff. I like Joe. I think Joe's phenomenal conversationalist. I think he's better on YouTube because I think he's funny as fuck when he's high and when he's with... I would probably get high if I went on his show. I'm going to say it right now. I probably would. I probably would try it. I probably would because he makes it look a lot of fun. Him and Joe Diaz and those guys. The thing of it is, I could never do law enforcement again if I wanted to. But that would be the thing. He makes it look a lot of fun. And I think the weed thing is ridiculous. I mean, the fact that you can buy cigarettes that kill you and the fact that you can buy booze and drinking and cigarettes, to me, are worse than somebody getting high once a week because they have anxiety or they have, or whatever. I mean, cigarettes have to be the worst. That would be the time. Yeah, I think he's a great conversationalist. I think he's awesome on YouTube, but I think his beef with Alex Jones is a lot of disinformation. And if you don't know what disinformation is a military tactic that people use. That is a psyops tactic that people use to put information out there to see what they get back from people. And a lot of times, more often than not, you see this, and it's used a lot in social media now too. You see it in the meme culture and everything else. People just kind of float shit. They'll float shit that has kind of like half-truths built into it, and they're like, let me see. Let me see what I get back. Let me see what somebody comments. And you can see it, like people will be like, what's the story? What's the scoop? I don't know this. And they try to see what people give them back. You know what I mean? We see it a lot with like T-Rex Arms, True Exodus. We've even seen it with me, but we see it a lot. Joe Rogan on the pharmaceutical problems in the world is some of the best. Yeah, he's very informed. Yeah, they set the bait armor up. Disinformation is used a lot in the firearms business because you have a lot of trained interrogation technique guys out there, and people know what people are doing. If I'm being honest, it's kind of sad to see them going at it. It's sad to see anybody go at it, Semi-Auto Kid. It's sad to see anybody go at it. I don't like to go at it with anybody. I don't like to see anybody be down. I don't like to put anybody down. I don't like to see anybody in the firearms business or anybody with a business be down. I just have certain rules and certain criteria that I stick to. And they're just, it's because, and I've taken a lot of heat because when I represent companies, I make decisions on the best interest of the company. Just like companies have to make decisions on the best interest of them. And that's the way it is. And then you see people get all hot and bothered and pissed off. I've had high-profile beefs with people, and these were decisions that were made over my head. Way over my head. I wasn't the top dog making the final call. I just ate shit because of it. And anybody who knows the inside of any of the beefs I've had through the years, I mean, that's the honest to God truth. And 9 times out of 10, follow the money. You know, you follow the money. You know? But decisions are made. And nobody likes to see anybody who's trying to put food on their table and make a living. And in my opinion, if you try to take that away, or you try to hurt somebody trying to do that, you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. You got to be careful going at people's money. Now, some decisions, they're just, you know, they're just decisions. You know, I mean, that's just life. Yeah, like I see people, I'm sorry, I see memes where people tag people's sponsors and people's employers, and I've seen them even with me, and I'm sorry, like that's wrong. That's wrong. It's wrong. That's slander. Straight up. You shouldn't do that. It's not right. But they think it's right because they hide behind a fake account. And we've seen that with many people. And I think Alex Jones, he doesn't have a platform to speak from. What did Troy say? What was the Troy thing? I missed it. What was the Troy thing? Tyrese Grant, I don't know you. I don't go live with people I don't know. No. Yeah, Steve Troy's a friend of mine. Yeah. I'm trying to find it now. Yeah. I mean, ARs are tough to sell right now, you know? But I didn't see it. I didn't see it, Rob. I know everybody's trying to ask. I didn't see it. But, yeah, I mean, the bashing and the memeing and the Alex Jones stuff and all that shit and all the disinformation, you have to sift through it. If it's on the internet and somebody does a meme about it, doesn't make it real. Doesn't make it real. Yeah. I was texting and talking to him actually the other day. He doesn't run the social media, so it's not him. Troy showed their AR price is $1,200. Ronald's price is... Yeah. Yeah. I saw they had an explanation up, and I don't necessarily like when companies do an explanation. I don't think that's the best PR move either. Like, if you're going to pull something down because you messed up, just pull it down. Just pull it down. Don't offer an explanation. Move on to Cincinnati. Let it go. You know, there's no need for an explanation. So, it's kind of interesting. It is what it is, right? To be honest, I feel like Alex Jones is a bum stock of the media world. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Alex Jones just doesn't have a platform. And I think, he's trying to piggyback on other people who have different platforms. He's getting all his platforms pulled from him, so he doesn't have a platform to speak from. And that's not uncommon. People who are very one-dimensional, who see other people being more dynamic, more capable, moving ahead, progressing, having better careers, better whatever you want to call it, that's how they are, man. They're gonna resort to like the bullshit. That's just where they live. They live in the bullshit. That's where they live and breathe. They live in the shit. So, it kind of is what it is. It just is what it is. You have to listen, guys. And I'll kind of start to wrap on this because I ran stupid long. But I started talking to you guys. I drank a whole raspberry lime calorie-free seltzer. And, we had a good time. I had some jerky. Here's the thing. You have to see through the bullshit. Just because somebody types it up on a keyboard and does a meme, or just because Alex Jones says it, doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true. And people do disinformation constantly. And I think Alex Jones, to kind of piggyback on some of Joe Rogan, he floats some shit out there. He floats some stuff. He sees who grabs onto it. It's like pixie dust. He just puts it out there. And we see that constantly. That happens all the time. I'll see, So, I think he's just trying to grab headlines, trying to grab some free air cover, some space. And he's trying to see what people grab onto. But I don't even know where to find him. He doesn't present himself in the best manner. He tends to lose people in his chaotic character. He is, however, an intelligent individual. He doesn't package it well. I think he used to package it phenomenally. I think he's fallen off the wagon a bit with that. I think he's become more of like a National Enquirer. And I think a lot of those guys, I said it earlier, are up. Like we saw this with Rush Limbaugh briefly, where he had to, he had a drug problem and all this. Then he started going so far right, he started becoming like a little bit like the National Enquirer. And I just think Alex Jones went off the deep end. I think that's where he lives now. He's living in the world of dinosaurs and conspiracy theories, and the world is flat. And he's living in Jesse Ventura world. That's a dangerous place to be. You got to form your own opinion. It's hard. As many people don't act like sheep and follow the herd. Yeah, I think it's beyond following the herd. I think any time, Semi-Auto Kid, let me put this out there. And I think Alex Jones is doing this, and I've seen this done to people. I think anytime if you're investigating anything, I think anytime the story changes multiple times, you have to have that little red flag go off. Because if you were interviewing your kids and they said to you, "Oh, Mom, I was at Billy's house. That's where we were. Yeah, we went to the movie, then we went back to Billy's house." And then they call Billy's mother, and then Billy's mother says, "No, they weren't here." And then they say, "Oh, maybe it wasn't Billy's house, it was Fred's house." If the story starts to change, you have to have the red flag go off. If it goes from Alex Jones saying, Joe Rogan was there, he saw this, I heard that, or whatever, and then it changes to Joe this or Joe that, when the story starts changing, red flag. Red flag. Red flag. Red flag. Sometimes some things aren't anybody's business. Sometimes people just want to float theories out there as to why shit happens. I don't know the good and final theory as to why their beef started or where their beef started. I know Joe's extended the olive branch to him many times, but I'm going to give you guys the best way to debunk disinformation or interrogation technique or information gathering technique is do yourself a favor. Anytime you see the story start to change or you see the story start to evolve, you need to have a red flag off. I will pick on myself. There's one person, I blocked him from in here. I don't know him. I've said it over and over again. I don't know the dude. I had one conversation with him my whole life. I don't know him. I do not know the person. Apparently he thinks he knows me. I don't know him. I'll never use his name. I don't know him. I don't know why he has a thing for me. I don't know why he messages me. I don't know what his problem is. I blocked him in every possible way, shape, and form. I wish him well. It's not personal. I just can't do unhealthy relationships. I can't do it. And I think that's a little bit, I think that's a little bit of what Joe's going through with Alex. It's a little bit unhealthy. Frank, I don't know the reason. I hand of God, don't know the reason. Don't know the person. Don't know. I told anybody to listen, I don't know. Don't know. I don't know. Legitimately don't know. And I'll say it right now. Same thing Joe said about, hey, if I offended you, if something happened that I don't know about, I wish you well, man. To anybody out there, I wish you well. That's all you can say, and that's, I think Joe's handling it perfectly with Alex Jones. Yeah, Knox, I don't know the person. They might claim to know me. I don't know them. When I say I probably have had one singular conversation with the person, I've had one singular conversation. No. I don't read it, but I'm sure it's accurate. I will say this, though. I'm telling you, in any of your techniques, when you're asking people questions, if the story starts to change, and it changes multiple times, you have a good indicator right there that you're probably sniffing out bullshit. If someone blocks you and makes it totally clear that you want nothing to do with them, they shouldn't keep trying to make contact. That's weird and not cool. Semi-auto kid, you would be stunned to know the people that continue to use different names, create different pages, to try to get my attention. I just keep blocking them. And it's nobody follows them. It's the same 3 people that follow them. But the person I'm referring to, I just don't think is, I think they have some problems. And, I know Joe said the same thing about Alex Jones. And I think people go through this. I think when people have some problems, I wish them well. I don't begrudge them. I don't wish bad on them. I hope they figure it out. But I think there are some people out there that just have some problems. Yeah, when they keep making new profiles, Knox, or people start having to create fake pages and things like that, and everybody knows who those people are. Like that's you're not okay upstairs. You're not okay. You're not well. And anybody associated with those people, they're not well. And I've done this year. I will tell all you guys this. I've done an effort just to block all that. I can't have anything to do with it. If you're within 3 inches of it, I can't have anything to do with it. I just can't. For my own sanity. I wish you well if you're part of it, if you're involved, if you give a shit. I just can't. It's not okay. It's not. That's psychosis. That's sociopathic shit. Like, it's just, you got to get help. If I sat there right now on this computer and I created a fake profile to bash somebody, you're not okay. Like, you're not okay inside. There's something not okay with you. You're not doing well. If you're not good. But people do it. So, but I gotta see what's going on. I ain't got time for that nonsense. Nobody does. But it takes a lot, bro. Definitely need help. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully I answered everybody's questions. Hopefully I answered everything I could. Probably not going to be. It's okay. It's okay now that you're here, Cece. Thank you. They're frauds, John. Cutouts. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows what they are. But ignore the haters. Keep doing you. Can't let those people in your life. We went long today. I was going to give away the Gargoyles glasses. I want to give away the Gargoyles glasses. So I'll do this. take a minute, everybody who leaves here, share on YouTube, share on, share the YouTube, share the Facebook, share the Twitch feeds, share whatever you can, share it all into Facebook and leave reviews. Maybe I'll find somebody on there. Comment done on my last post, and maybe I'll find somebody. Gargoyles are the best. I was going to give a pair away, but Cece, we went 2 hours long on this damn thing, and we never got around to it because we got so many good questions. I tried to answer everybody's questions tonight. I didn't go long last night, so I felt guilty. So I wanted to get it all in today. And I appreciate everybody. I want to thank the sponsors real quick. I want to thank Crossbreed Holsters. I want to take a minute to thank them. I want to thank, I want to thank Crossbreed. I want to thank Gargoyles for the glasses. I want to thank Riton Optics, Kenzies Optics, and take a minute to thank Taurus USA. So I appreciate everybody. I hope everyone has a great time. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week. I'm going to try to go on tomorrow. We'll finish up some of these topics. They were awesome. I'll get some more details on some of this stuff, especially the Alex Jones thing, as it's intriguing, and the disinformation stuff. But everybody stay safe. I want to thank every single one of you. Please make sure you shout out the sponsors and shout everybody out. Thanks again, guys. And if I get enough activity after hours, maybe I'll give the Gargoyles away. So let's see what we can do. Thumbs up, share the YouTubes. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.